that time of year again. We got to talk about the new GoPro that's coming out, and this time it's the GoPro Hero 10. So in this video, we're going to give you some basics about when that camera is going to be coming out, as well as some of the features that we're hoping to see on it. Then we're going to go over some of the competition so you can help figure out if you should buy this camera for yourself or not. So for the basics, the Hero 10 is expected to be announced sometime in September of 2021, and it should come out on the market in October of 2021. We're expecting the price point to be about the same as the Hero 9, so probably over $400, or maybe at a discount if you get the GoPro Plus subscription. And we're also expecting only one GoPro model, but we'll talk more about that later on in the video.
So this is the usual cycle that GoPro does every year, for better or for worse. It comes with pros and cons that they release so much. But here's the main things that, in our opinion, they need to get right, because they do have stiff competition, and it makes you wonder if they get things wrong, if they'll fare well for the future. So we think that the number one thing they need to do for this 10th version is actually not so much deliver new things as they have to fix the existing things that they got wrong over previous models. And so we have a list of things they should focus on first fixing before they go into adding more things.
In fact, you may have seen our other video talking about all the problems that came out in the Hero 9. Not everybody experienced those problems. Some people, had flawless cameras, but a lot of us had some serious issues with the Hero 9.
We'll briefly mention this, and we have covered them before, but the worst of all is the crashes. We want the GoPro to stop crashing and corrupting our files. Number two, the usability is kind of laggy and it's choppy, and so you really have to struggle to use it. When you turn it on, when you turn it off, all these things are slow and delayed, and everything is really bogged down.
Another thing that's really slow is the touch screen, and they supposedly fixed that in a firmware update. Like, some of these issues were supposedly addressed, but I don't know about you guys, but we're still running into these problems, and a touch screen is one of them.
And another thing they got badly wrong in the last version was a big blue blob on top of your image when you're facing the sun towards. And this is just a part of the hardware. The glass they put in doesn't have good coating, which is a big blunder that they should revert and not have that anymore.
Another issue, we actually did not run into this issue, but a lot of other people commented in our videos and said that on the Hero 9, those internal mics were just having these popping and cracking noises, and so that needs to be fixed. And along those lines, we also want to see some improvement on the media mod. So the way the media mod is currently structured, you have to take the camera out of the media mod in order to access the battery and the memory card, which is a pretty big blunder. So we'd like to see an entire redesign of that media mod.
Yes, and that has to be done by keeping the shape of the GoPro the same because of all the accessories, so we'll talk about that as well. The next thing that we're hoping to see is that they put some new hardware in there when it comes to computing, because it seems like they've been rolling with an old processor, and that's what's causing a lot of these problems, especially when they keep on adding more and more features, but they don't really beef up the processing power. And they did give us a new sensor last time. It was only to make the resolutions grow, which went to 5K, but they did not do anything for shooting in low light, which is actually the main flaw of the GoPro.
Right, now they have the Insta360 1R with that 1-inch sensor, which is really stellar in low light, so they really have to fix this issue of shooting in low light.
And if they are able to upgrade the hardware like that, then they can give us more frame rates and resolution and combinations between them. So 4K 120 would be a win, because it's really, really nice to be able to get your slow motion without degrading the quality of your footage, so that it can all fit together seamlessly.
Yeah, and the Hero 9 was really great because you can shoot 120 at 2.7K. So if you can do it now in 4K, then that would be a huge win for the GoPro.
The next thing which we think is important is actually not so much that GoPro adds new features, but actually keeps many things the same, because from the 7 to the 8 and to the 9, they changed the camera around 3 times, and you had to buy every single accessory again. And it's a lot of money, and we've already done it a bunch, and we don't want to have to do it yet again. It'll be what, 3rd or 4th time that we have to rebuy everything. We're talking media mods, we're talking about lenses and things like that. Batteries as well, yeah. So all that needs to stay the same, or they're gonna really piss off the customers and lose people at that point.
So previous to this, the Hero 5, 6, and 7 were all the same form factor, used the same batteries. So the Hero 8 was the only one that was kind of all by itself. So with the Hero 9, hopefully the Hero 9, 10, and 11 are all gonna keep the same features or accessories.
And that matters to us more than any new feature, so let's do that first. Because GoPro GoPro has been changing things around and making all these accessories and remaking them. They've actually not made very many of them, and they're always not yet out or out of stock, and people have hard time getting a hold of them. So that's another thing. If you were to stabilize everything, you can actually keep up with the demand for these accessories.
And we're talking specifically about those mods like the max lens mod and also the media mod and the light mod. And for the max lens mod, I'd like to be able to shoot in 4K, because right now you can only shoot it up to 2.7K with that max lens mod.
So now let's talk about actually what features they could deliver that make things better.
First would be the low light performance, which we already mentioned, and that can only be possible if they upgrade the sensor and make that bigger, which is unlikely to happen, but it's still something that they really need to improve on.
That is the main thing that makes you put your GoPro away at night or in the dark, indoors, and so on. So that would be a very, very key improvement.
We'd also like to see more mods available. The main thing I can think of is maybe more lens mods. It's really cool having that max lens mod, which gives you really good stability and also ultra wide footage, but it would also be really good to have maybe a macro lens or some kind of telephoto lens. So just build on those lens mods.
Another thing people are talking about is that nowadays you have all this Bluetooth connectivity going on, yet with a GoPro you still have to have their adapters or the media mode, and you cannot actually connect with any other mic. So they should get up to speed with where the world is and actually allow Bluetooth connectivity or some way to have more versatile ways to use the microphone. One huge improvement to the usability of the GoPro can come from allowing the user to change some settings while they're shooting without having to turn it on and off like currently. So for example, whenever you want to go from wide into linear or narrow, you have to stop recording, takes a long time, flip it around, then start shooting again. And especially the fact that you normally want to shoot with the quick button, which restores the setting from the last time. If you wanted to get away from that setting, you have to actually turn off the camera all over again and then turn it off the slow way, change the setting, and then shoot the slow way, and then shut it off again. All that can be fixed very simply by using the features that your cell phone has, which all that can be fixed if you do what phones do and allow changing settings without interrupting recording. If phones can do it, so can GoPro, and it will really save a lot of time and hassle and make you less prone to losing moments.
The next thing relates to the GoPro app. So GoPro just revamped their app. It's now called the Quick app, or Quick by GoPro, or something like that. It's a new name, new usability, and honestly, it's not really that great. The main problem with it is that you can no longer preview your image as you are filming with the GoPro through the app, which is just a huge miss. I don't know why that's been an issue, but that's one thing that they really need to fix in that app. But another thing could be just, I don't know, more usability or more usefulness out of that app. I did a whole video talking about that app and how to edit in it, but it's really basic editing for what other competitors are doing with their apps, such as Insta360. You can do so much more with their app compared to what GoPro is offering you.
So here's the bottom line. GoPro is still a really killer camera. It's our #1 camera, actually. It takes the most footage of all our gear, but they have a lot of flaws that they need to first fix before they go and take bites off other things. You know, they just need to do this right.
So it's really important for GoPro to get their basics right and just deliver a camera that works really well, just because their competition is doing one thing better than GoPro at the very least, and that is they deliver cameras that don't have bugs and they do exactly what you ask them to do. And some of the competition out there is the DJI Osmo Action as well as the Insta360 One R.
And those are cameras, when you press the on button, they actually turn on. How amazing is that? Like every other camera except GoPro. And so GoPro is starting to get its ass kicked when it comes to that, as well as now certain features, especially on the Insta, but even DJI, are just surpassing, especially in the app area and so on. And they even have more models. And here's the thing where GoPro actually keeps making things and they go wrong or don't work too well, they're not profitable, and then they sunset them so fast, while their competition, Insta, now has a variety of cameras, DJI now has a variety of cameras. A very cool new one is the Insta360 Go.
Yeah, so we actually have that camera. This is the Insta360 Go 2. We're still testing it out, but look at how tiny this camera is. And so that leads us to another point of GoPro maybe just focusing on certain features for cameras and maybe even having several different models out there, such as bringing back the Hero Session. Although a lot of you out there like that Hero Session just for how simple and small it is, kind of like the Insta360 Go 2. And so maybe they need to bring back the Session as a very basic, simple action camera, and and meanwhile leave this Hero 9 or Hero 10 as their more robust vlogging solution.
And it's more extensible and it has all the new features, but now the simplicity of just pressing a button and recording is lost in a GoPro, and a lot of people want it back. So if you were to make a small edition that's just about pressing a button and shooting, and it always turns on and you know what's going on, but the big improvement they need to make over the session in particular is that its stability was simply atrocious. It was unusable. So that's why they got rid of it, but if they can get it to be stable and simple, that would be a win for them. Another thing is they did get into the 360 game, and they're probably due for a revamp of that camera, but they have very stiff competition, so it's going to be interesting to see how they keep that one alive compared to Insta360.
Yeah, so the GoPro Max came out 2 years ago, so they're really due for an update. So we're probably going to see a brand new 360 camera from GoPro come out. But as you just said, Insta360 in particular is doing so well in the 360 world that GoPro has to do a super good job at that. And hopefully 360 is not yet another thing that GoPro starts and departs from, because they already did that with their drone, with their gimbal. So yeah, we have our fingers crossed for GoPro in that department.
Yeah, and then there's been an obvious shift in GoPro where they used to try to be very techy and make drones and all be leaders in the tech, but now more and more they're going into lifestyle and fashion, and they're making backpacks and what do they make? Sunglasses. And so they're trying out things that try to be like, we're about the brand and the lifestyle that the brand goes with. And I get it, it's kind of a money ploy, but when you have a very serious range of competitors, that kind of gimmick may not really work that well for too long. So we really are big fans of GoPro. We want them to succeed, so these are the things that we believe they should get right.